you have Talonflame, Salamence, Kangaskhan, Groudon, Smeargle, and Xerneas. And Kyle, go ahead and describe his team.
As a reminder for Kyle's team, he has Rayquaza, Kyogre, Gengar, Ferrothorn, Crobat, and Weavile.
Okay, now they were really quick to pick those Pokemon, and I think both of them are really confident on what they're going to be bringing this game one.
Due to fighting in Swiss, they're probably pretty familiar with each other's team and already know what they want to bring to counter it.
Yeah, hopefully when they fought in Swiss, there wasn't a whole lot of secrets revealed. Now, Nikolai 2014 had several different strategies. Hopefully, you know, we have Kyle going to be able to pick out those strategies and see what he can bring to the table. Now, Kyle leading off with his Crobat Weavile like he did in the top 4 match.
And then we see Nikolai with the Xerneas and Talonflame. So,
now Talonflame we haven't seen yet in the finals yet. Talonflame has the unique ability Gale Wings, which means all flying type moves get increased priority. They're going to move first on those out of all the other Pokemon.
Right, so if it attacked with a move such as Tailwind or Brave Bird, that would go first before moves like Icicle Crash or moves that don't have a priority.
Yeah, exactly. And now in combat that we have the Crobat. Crobat has a lot of HP, really, really quick, and has a lot of support moves in it. So Crobat is probably one of the best Pokemon to partner up with another really powerful Pokemon like Weavile to make sure that you're getting that support, to make sure that you get that opening move to swing the game early in your favor.
And then Weavile has quite a few options. As we saw in the last game, it has a Life Orb, so we know it can do a lot of damage to the opponent if it gets a hit off. And I'm assuming it may have a Fake Out option.
Yeah, we didn't see the Fake Out option come out on Weavile last time. Now,
okay, we're seeing Nikolai set up the Tailwind on his side.
All right, and Crobat's going to match it.
Crobat's matching it, so now they're evenly speeds.
See, and that was probably the best move for both players, was to make sure that they didn't leave the speed control in play. We got the Icicle Crash hitting on the Talonflame, and Xerneas is just going to go ahead and go on the offensive, get that Dazzling Gleam, do a lot of damage to that Weavile and knock it out.
So that was a pretty big play for Nikolai, knocking out a Weavile, which can do a lot of damage. So Nikolai so far seems to have a little bit of the upper hand here due to the amount of damage here. But Kyle is going to send out his Kyogre. Maybe.
The Primal Reversion. That's going to really just set up the Weather Wars right now. Now, with that Primal Reversion, we get Primordial Sea. That's going to increase the damage of Water-type moves. It's also going to make Fire moves ineffective. So that Talonflame, if it has that Flare Blitz, that's not going to be able to do anything. So now we're going to have that Crobat sitting there, and it's not going to have to really worry about a whole lot.
However, on the other hand, if Talonflame does have Brave Bird, the Weather ability does not stop that. So Talonflame can get off quite a bit of damage on Crobat or Kyogre, whichever it chooses to hit.
Yeah. Now, as we saw before, Kyle packs the Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn in the rain is probably one of the most scariest things that you can see on here. But then we also have this Xerneas. Xerneas is going to be able to punish a lot of things really early. Xerneas has the Fairy Aura, so it has that increased attack on all Fairy attacks. And like you said before, the Talonflame can put a lot of pressure really quick. So let's see what these guys are going to be doing here.
All right, so the Kyogre is going for Protect to make sure it doesn't take any damage this turn. Talonflame's going for the Brave Bird, however, Kyogre protected. And Crobat goes for the Super Fang, knocking Xerneas down to half HP. But Xerneas is setting up Geomancy. So Geomancy is a very interesting move. So it takes a turn to charge, unless you're holding the Power Herb.
Yeah.
And then after you're done charging, you get ×2 special attack, special defense, and speed. So it's a very threatening move to use if you have a Power Herb, because you get such a huge stat boost, and then you can do such a large amount of damage to your opponent.
Yeah, and with that, you know, it's exclusive to Xerneas on there, so you won't see it commonly used unless you see that Xerneas. That Xerneas having the Power Herb, being able to, in one turn, just increase its special attack on top of the Fairy Aura, means it's going to put a lot of pressure for these turns coming up. hopefully, you know, Kyle has something to combat that, because right now that Super Fang did a lot. So right now Nikolai's Pokemon hurting both in the yellow right now. Hopefully this Kyogre can give that support and finish out these guys.
Yeah, we'll just have to see if Crobat and Kyogre will be able to take a ×2 attack from the Xerneas. Nikolai's pulling out his Talonflame and sending in Groudon. So is this Primal Groudon?
Probably, you know, as we see
Primal
here,
Groudon.
Yep, that Primal Reversion, that's going to go ahead and get that Desolate Land ability. That's going to overwrite a Kyogre's Primordial Sea. So now we have a Harsh Sunlight going on. So all the water attacks are now going to be neutralized.
And Xerneas is going for a Moonblast, and it looks like he's attacking Kyogre. And it doesn't knock out Kyogre, and it holds on.
Oh, wow. Like, that did a lot of damage.
It did, but the Crobat using Haze, that's an interesting move.
Yeah, that Haze, really, really good. That Haze resets all of those stats. So that makes it so that Xerneas, use that Power Herb for next to nothing. So now we have a Xerneas back to its regular stats, and it's not going to be doing nearly as much damage as it was, like we saw against the Kyogre.
Yeah, that was a very good play on Kyle's side to have a Crobat with Haze to stop that stat boost, because Xerneas with ×2 special attack, special defense and speed is very scary. And as you saw, it almost took out the Kyogre. But usually Kyogre has high special defense, so it was fortunately able to survive that attack.
Yeah, for sure. We probably see that Kyogre was trained in special defense to make sure it survived those kind of attacks. Now this Crobat, like I said earlier, one of the best support Pokemon.
Crobat is an amazing support Pokemon. It looks like Nikolai is sending back out his Talonflame. Kyle is protecting his Kyogre this turn to make sure it doesn't faint. And going for a Super Fang on the Talonflame. Does it knock out? Nope.
Nope. Yeah, so Super Fang, it's always going to do half the HP on there. This Groudon going to pick up the KO. Oh, no, it missed the KO. That Crobat must be specially trained to withstand those attacks. This Crobat is paying off for Kyle right now.
This is one bulky Crobat.
This Crobat hasn't left. It's probably the best support we've seen this entire tournament.
It's very good because like Super Fang takes away half HP, Haze getting rid of the Geomance stat increase, and then it's also got Tailwind to combat those Pokemon that use Tailwind as well.
And as we saw earlier, it also has the Wide Guard, so this thing loves sticking around, and it really has that team play mindset in mind. So even though the Crobat isn't that big of a hitter, it can't hit that hard, but it helps out those who can, so that really swings the match. And I think Crobat was a great choice in team composition for Kyle on here.
Okay, so we're going to see Kyle pull out his Kyogre and send in Rayquaza. So Rayquaza is going to neutralize all weather effects with its ability Airlock. So Flare Blitz, if Talonflame has it, or any type of fire move that Groudon may use, will be neutralized here. But we see Talonflame go for the Brave Bird and knock out Crobat, and it survives despite taking recoil damage.
Yeah, and so there we go, because it also has the Life Orb on there. That Life Orb is the thing that really caused it to faint there. Otherwise, it would have possibly survived another attack on there to get off another Brave Bird. But unfortunately, it did have that recoil. And now Rayquaza is in a little bit of a hurt right now because of that Rock Slide.
Rayquaza has taken a lot of damage from that Rock Slide, especially since it was a single target attack. So usually when Rock Slide hits, if it's two Pokemon, the power is actually reduced slightly. But since Nikolai knocked out the Crobat prior to using Rock Slide, that means Rock Slide's power was at its full power and hit Rayquaza for super effective.
Yeah, and now we see the Kyogre come back out. Now we see the sun go away. We got the rain, so all fire moves, they're going to be ineffective. And now we have this rain coming out.
So we see Nikolai evolve his Salamence into Mega Salamence, and Kyle evolving his Rayquaza into Mega Rayquaza.
Switching the weather again. Now we have the Delta Stream coming out, making it so that Rayquaza, it's no longer has its weakness for all of its flying type move. We're
just having a weather war here, and a Hyper Voice comes out, hitting both Rayquaza and Kyogre, knocking them out at the same time.
See, that was a big move for Nikolai. Nikolai really needed something to swing this move in this match, and that was what it was. Now, Nikolai's picked up game 1, and they're going into game 2.
That was a very good game on both sides.
Yeah, Nikolai played that really well. Kyle did what he can, but maybe if Kyle switched out his weather a little bit earlier to get that, but the Rayquaza really, it could have helped maybe a little bit earlier in the game, getting that extreme speed to combat the Talonflame maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah, Rayquaza would have been useful in this game using extreme speed to knock out the Pokemon with lower HP.
Exactly.
It would have also been good to neutralize the weather effect from Groudon. It'll be interesting to see how Kyle will adapt his team now to
hopefully he can change it up a little bit, because now that he's gotten a little bit of a refresher on what Nikolai can do. I mean, Nikolai's the world champion. I mean, he didn't just get that title just for having it. He's one of the best players in the world, and he's still to date. Now, as you can see, Nikolai's team is Talonflame, Salamence, Kangaskhan, Groudon, Xerneas, and Smeargle. And then on Kyle's side,
Rayquaza, Kyogre, Gengar, Ferrothorn, Crobat, and Weavile. Okay. Now, we haven't seen the Gengar yet, but maybe Kyle's going to bring the Gengar this match.
Yeah, hopefully, if he does bring that Gengar, it can swing things. We also haven't seen that Smeargle. Now, Smeargle, obviously, the signature Pokemon that it can write a signature. It can copy any move that it wants. So if it wanted to copy Precipice Blades, it could have that. It could have Hyper Voice. It could have any of those moves. So we really don't, we haven't seen that Smeargle yet. So let's see what Smeargle comes and brings to a game on here. Hopefully we'll be able to see it sometime in the series.
All right, so round 2 is about to start.
So with this game 2, Kyle needs to take this. This is a pretty desperate spot for Kyle. Kyle needs to get this to take this to a game 3 in order to take the final, have a shot at taking the finals.
So we see Kyle send out Weavile and Kyogre, while Nikolai sends out Smeargle and Xerneas. So both interesting leads. We can see they adapted their teams. I guess we'll finally get to see what Smeargle does.
Yeah, and we actually get to see a lead within Primal now. Kyle, in the last couple games, has led with unrestricted Pokemon. Kyle is starting with a restricted Pokemon now, hopefully to get a bit more oomph in that starting game. Now, with that, Primordial C, again, we won't see any fire moves anytime soon. Also, all of the water moves that are going to be launched off, they're going to have an increase in power. So hopefully that will be able to get things swung a lot quicker for Kyle so that he can get that early lead.
So it looks like Nikolai's withdrawing Smeargle and he's going to send out Groudon. So since he's sending out Groudon and it's a primal form, once it sets up the weather, any water move that Kyogre may have used is now going to be negated and it won't hit anything. So hopefully Kyle didn't use a water move this turn.
Yeah, let's hope with that. Now, as we can see, both these matches, they're going to turn into really big weather wars. Now, we see the Feint come on to the Groudon. Going to do a little bit of damage on there, but looks like Weavile may have lost some more HP than dealing out on that.
I think Nikolai did a pretty good prediction here of what Kyle was going to do. He actually used this as a chance to set up his Xerneas Geomancy. So now Xerneas right out the bat has the times to special attack, special defense, and speed, which is very threatening for both Weavile and Kyogre. As we saw last game,
Absolutely.
Moonblast almost knocked out
Kyogre.
And
that was the good call by Nikolai because Kyle did do the Origin Pulse, and that just evaporated in the harsh sunlight. So very good play by Nikolai switching in that Groudon. I mean, that Groudon switching in, probably one of the best plays he could have done.
So Weavile is going for the Feint since it's going to be outspeeded by Xerneas, and I'm assuming Kyle is expecting Weavile to go down this turn. And it does look like that is true. Xerneas is going for the Geomancy, and it knocks out Weavile in one hit.
Yeah, that Dazzling Gleam with the Geomancy back on it, it did a lot of damage. Kyle did good, kept it in Protect going, so he didn't lose his Kyogre, but unfortunately he did lose his Weavile, which did a lot in his top 4 game. That Weavile did a lot of damage and really swung it so that Kyle was able to win in that top 4.
Yeah, well, Weavile seems like a pretty important Pokemon for him to help him set up or just get damage off.
Yeah, getting that damage off really quick is what Weavile's good at doing. And now we see the Kyogre come out. That's going to make it so the Kyogre with the Rayquaza, you know, this is going to make it so Kyogre can actually launch off those Origin Pulses without the fear of having it evaporate in the sun.
So yeah, now the Groudon's kind of in danger now, so because the Kyogre can use Origin Pulse or any other move with water to knock out the Groudon, and it's very threatening for Groudon because Groudon is a fire ground type, so it's 4 times effective on it.
Yeah, and there's just really no hope on there. Like, when you're weak to both types on water, you're not going to be surviving anything. I believe I've seen a Golduck knock it out with a simple Scald move. So this Kyogre, it's not going to be any problem for Kyogre.
Yeah, Golduck Cloud9 is something that is interesting to see used, and it has been used to counter Groudons because of Cloud9 is just like Airlock, it cancels all weather effects.
Yep. And now with this setup, we got the weather effect taken off because of the Airlock from Rayquaza. You know, both of these players, they have to think really hard. You know, there's a lot of money on the line here, for a total of $500 in the prize pot. Yep. And Rayquaza is going to go ahead and protect while we see the Dazzling Gleam come out from that Xerneas. Again, this Xerneas ×2 on those stats. It's going to be tough.
It looks like this Groudon's pretty fast, outspeeding the Kyogre, and it knocks out the Kyogre, so Groudon's now safe. It's not going to take any damage from water attacks.
Yeah, and you know, that Kyogre, it was pretty much what Kyle needed to take out that Groudon. It's going to be really tough from here. We see a Ferrothorn come out for Kyle. Kyle had Ferrothorn in the top 4. Really paid off really big for him. Hopefully it'll do something here.
Yeah, but with the Groudon out there, it could be pretty threatening because Precipice Blades, it's a ground type move, so it's going to hit Ferrothorn for a good amount of damage.
Yeah, and hopefully the Rayquaza can do something here. The Rayquaza hasn't Mega Evolved, which is really surprising because it just wants to keep that airlock from what it's showing.
Alright, so we're going to see Rayquaza finally Mega Evolving.
So we got the Mega Rayquaza, like the other 2 Primal Pokemon. This one is going to set up the Delta Stream. That's going to go ahead and get rid of the Sun. And on top of that, it's going to make sure that all flying type Pokemon, they're going to remove that weakness on there.
Alright, so Xerneas got off the Dazzling Gleam. And it does quite a bit of damage to both Ferrothorn and Rayquaza. Almost knocking out the Rayquaza, however, Rayquaza was holding Focus Sash, so it doesn't quite faint yet.
Yeah, and now we see the Dragon Ascent come down. This is a move exclusive to Rayquaza that is required to Mega Evolve it. And it did a lot of damage to that Xerneas. Unfortunately, the Primal Groudon, this is going to do a lot of damage to that Ferrothorn. Yeah, Ferrothorn being 4 times weak to fire, really big hit.
Yeah, Ferrothorn usually doesn't like Groudon due to Groudon usually carrying a fire move and Groudon's ability enhancing fire moves.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really tough. You know, 4 versus 1, this is not looking good.
Not looking good at all. Rayquaza has to be able to take out all of them. And
now Rayquaza does have extreme speed, so it's possible some of this stuff can happen, you know. And then here we go, extreme speed on the Groudon, knocks out the Groudon.
Goes down.
So at least we get a knockout on Nikolai's side from this. Dazzling Game's going to hit, and that means Nikolai Zielinski is the 2016 Salt Lake Gaming Con champion. Woo! All right, congratulations to both players. Both players are coming out with a lot of money. Now, these players